These extraordinary archaeological sites are a portal to ancient Egypt. The Valley of the Kings and other bucket-list Egyptian destinations offer a glimpse into millennia-old majesty and artistry. Opener: a man rides a camel in view of the remarkable Egyptian pyramids. A man rides a camel in view of the remarkable Egyptian pyramids. Iman Abdelkader, Giza, 2021. Text by Jeff Campagna and Tracy Scott Forson. May 2, 2025. Get our newsletter. Is it possible that the builders of Egypt's Great Pyramids expected them to be tourist attractions eons later, drawing spectators from around the globe? We may never know, but the awe-inspiring structures that the Valley of the Kings in the deserts of Cairo and Luxor have been attracting curious travelers for centuries. Their majesty is only matched by their mystery. How were they built? Who determined which Egyptians were buried in the tombs? What afterlife belief led to their care and reverence for the dead? Leave historians and researchers to grapple with those questions. You can just sit back and enjoy these 15 images of ancient Egypt from the Smithsonian Magazine photo contest. A portal to ancient Egypt, exploring the civilization through its most extraordinary archaeological sites. Ancient Egypt has long stood as one of humanity's most captivating civilizations, a world of divine kings, colossal temples, mysterious rituals, and breathtaking engineering achievements that still inspire awe millennia later. While pyramids and pharaohs are the familiar symbols of Egypt, the number of archaeological treasures scattered along the Nile is far wider, deeper, and more revealing than most people realize. Each site is not just a ruin, but a portal, an immersive passageway into a worldview shaped by gods, cosmic order, and the promise of eternal life. Exploring these extraordinary archaeological sites today is like walking back 4,000 years into the heart of one of history's most enduring cultures. One of the most iconic sites remains Saqqara, Egypt's vast necropolis and the location of the Step Pyramid of Djoser, the world's first large-scale stone monument. Long before the Giza pyramids dominated the skyline, Saqqara was the testing ground for the architectural genius of Imhotep, the pharaoh's architect and later a deified figure of wisdom. The Step Pyramid was more than a royal tomb, it represented a cosmic staircase leading the king's soul upward to the gods. Recent excavations continue to reveal richly decorated tombs, sealed burial shafts, and painted chambers that have survived unchanged for thousands of years. Saqqara is a reminder that the Egyptian obsession with eternity was not limited to kings alone. Nobles, priests, and officials also constructed elaborate tombs to prepare their souls for the afterlife. With every newly discovered chamber, further south, rising dramatically from the desert near modern Luxor, lies Karnak, the largest religious complex ever built by human hands. Karnak was not a single temple but a living spiritual capital that evolved over 2,000 years. Pharaoh after pharaoh added colossal gateways, obelisks, statues, and halls in an ongoing architectural conversation with the gods. The Great Hypostyle Hall alone, with its forest of 134 massive sandstone columns, leaves visitors dwarfed in sheer immensity. Karnak was the ritual center of the god Ammonius-Ra, and during festivals such as Opet, priests carried the god's sacred statue along the Nile to Luxor temple in elaborate processions. Walking through Karnak today means crossing the same sacred thresholds that royal priests once used to commune with divine power, a visceral connection between past and present. Not far from Karnak lies the Valley of the Kings, where royal burials moved from monumental pyramids to secretive cliffside tombs hidden in the desert rock. Here the Egyptians perfected the theology of the afterlife through rich symbolic art, ceilings painted with constellations, walls covered with spells from the Book of the Dead, and winding passageways representing the sun god's nightly voyage through the underworld. The tomb of Tutankhamun, discovered nearly intact in 1922, remains the valley's most famous find, but it is hardly the only marvel. Each tomb is a theological text carved in stone, meant not for public viewing but for the journey of one's soul into eternity. Exploring these burial chambers today allows us not only to admire ancient craftsmanship but also to witness an intimate dialogue between mortal ambition and divine destiny. Even farther south, near the modern border with Sudan, stands Abu Simbel, one of the most dramatic monuments of the New Kingdom. Built by Ramses II, the temple was carved directly into a cliff face and oriented so that twice a year, The rising sun pierces the inner sanctuary and illuminates the carved statues of the gods within. The temple is as much a political statement as a religious one. Ramses II presents himself seated among the gods, his power radiating outward like the solar rays of Ra. In the 1960s, when the Aswan High Dam threatened to submerge Abu Simbel beneath rising waters, the entire temple was cut apart and relocated block by block to higher ground in one of the greatest archaeological rescue missions in history. Today, Abu Simbel stands not only as a monument of antiquity but as a triumph of modern preservation, a reminder that some heritage is too precious to lose. But not all Egyptian wonders tower over the desert. Some lie buried in layers of silt, sand, and lost history. Abydos, one of the oldest sacred cities in Egypt, was the legendary burial place of Osiris, god of the afterlife. Pilgrims traveled there for millennia to connect with the source of divine rebirth. Taken together, these sites form a mosaic of Egyptian civilization, each revealing a different facet of how the ancient world understood existence, authority, and eternity. Saqqara shows the birth of monumental architecture, Karnak, the height of religious grandeur, the Valley of the Kings, the theology of death, Abu Simbel, the merging of propaganda and divinity, and Abydos, the spiritual heart of myth. Through their enduring stone walls, these places still speak in symbols, alignments, and cosmic geometry. They show that for the Egyptians, architecture was never merely practical, it was a sacred language. What makes Egypt especially remarkable is that its ancient worldview continues to inspire fascination today. Archaeology is still active across the country, with new discoveries surfacing every year, from painted coffins to mummification workshops and administrative scrolls that reveal daily life behind royal power. Visiting these sites now is not just an encounter with preserved history, it is a chance to witness humanity's ongoing excavation of its own origins. The more we uncover, the further we are invited to see beyond the familiar myths and into the minds of the people who walked these corridors before us. To stand in a temple built for gods, to descend into a tomb cut by hand through stone, or to read inscriptions first carved in the Bronze Age is to experience a collapse of time. These extraordinary archaeological sites are more than destinations, they are time machines. They remind us that while modern civilization prides itself on innovation, much of our sense of cosmic order, civic identity, and architectural ambition was pioneered thousands of years ago along the Nile. Through their walls, Egypt still whispers, inviting us to look backward in order to understand how deeply the past shapes who we are today.